Check 1 2, check 1 2, 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Hello and welcome back. I am your most magnanimous host, Michael D. Nicola. We're drawing today. As always, I like to start the stream. Let me fix this. There we go. Well, a little bit of glare there. I generally like to show you guys my screen along with my other screen. Well, same screen, along with my hand, so you guys can really see. How I work, and see the digital representation of that on screen as well. So, this is what I was working on last stream. I started doing the pencils and inks for my character from Elden Ring. In case you're curious. All right. So today the plan is get some more lighting in here, get some more textures, finish her up, essentially. And one thing I did notice while doing while working on this yesterday, I had some I pulled up some Elden Ring references to help navigate my character's look in Elden Ring. Dude, every armor set I saw, or robe set, or whatever it was, every outfit a character could don in Elden Ring is incredibly detailed. And as a person who's trying to draw that right now, it's annoyingly detailed. But what are you going to do? Knowing what I know about my character, about my character's armor, in order to really sell what this armor is, as far as the textures are concerned, I'm going to be doing my damnedest to I'm going to try to highlight in my art the differences in textures and the way lighting hits those aforementioned textures in this piece. There we go. So the armor here, this is the Crucible armor. It's kind of like this a grainy bronze metallic texture, and beneath it, the gauntlets, the greaves, are also similar. The straps appear to be leather. The straps that affix on the forearms and biceps, and beneath are, well, robes, essentially. So that's the plan, gang. But as you know, when it comes to art, much like with other aspects of life, it helps to have a plan, but sometimes that plan, it it doesn't end up working out the way you thought it would. So yes, that's the deal for today. That's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to bring this piece on home and do my best as a digital illustrator to convey to you, the lovely viewer, yeah, let's see if I can make his robes feel like robes-ish. I mean, listen, I don't consider myself a digital painter. I mean, because there are some incredible, amazing digital painters. Hell, I was looking at, I'll show you guys right now. I was perusing some digital painting. Oh, that's the wrong one. I was perusing some digital painting just earlier. Yeah, look at this. Look at that detail. Look at that rendering. Look at all the rendering that went into this. Right? And look, pay attention. You know, we were just talking about textures. Pay attention to the textures in this piece, right? The way the light reflects off that metallic golden armament that she's wearing versus the way the light reflects off of the green here. Look towards her boobies and chest, right? But yeah, look at how dull the light is compared to the hard light reflective surfaces of the metal. And then look at that, compare and contrast that to her skin. Her skin is absorbing a lot of light. It's really remarkable, but yeah, I don't render like this. This is not my jam. I have a lot of respect for it, an immense amount of respect for the work that goes into concept art. But yeah, I don't consider myself a concept artist. So my rendering, you know, it's comic book manga rendering. So it'll be an approximation of that. Nikolai Lockertson. I don't know who that is. Are they a concept artist? All right. Let's... Yeah, you know, yeah, I'm working on the robes first. He has a schoolism course. Don't know how you would describe his art. Very detailed, though. Does he work for like Wizards of the Coast and those guys? Is he that kind of artist? For those of you who don't know, Wizards of the Coast, they're the people that own Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and a bunch of other tabletop stuff and nerd fantasy stuff. And they have a stable of some of the most renowned concept artists. Generally speaking, some of the best comic book, not comic, some of the best concept art artists have worked for Wizards of the Coast, generally. This is the ArtStation site. Let's see. Oh yeah, would you look at that? Oh, I've seen this guy's work before. I've definitely seen this guy's work before. He's his style really it's all over the place. Yeah, no, wow. His style can really morph. My goodness. Some of these pieces look as if they were created by two. Some of these pieces look like there were 5 different concept artists did them. Very nice. Like I said, I have a immense amount of appreciation for concept artists who can render like that. My goodness. Yeah, those artists are something else, man. Hey, Scoob, do you paint like that? So funny, man. When it comes to digital painting, as much as I admire the artists, I have zero interest in pursuing anything like that. I mean, it'd be one thing to take a crack at it, you know, listen, it's important to hone your craft, right? Important to hone your craft, important to learn new skills. You know, as an artist, the learning should never stop. But, you know, when it comes to specifically speaking about digital concept art painting, not my jam. I'm trying to learn, but I'm an amateur. I'm halfway through his schoolism course. What does he teach? Like, what's the breakdown? What are some of the course breakdowns? maybe I should look into taking a course like that. I'll tell you, way more than digital painting or concept art like kit bashing or any of that stuff. I really do. I took an environmental art course that was really, really, really helpful. It was excellent. Showed me a ton about environments, environment design, environmental world, as far as the world building aspect of environmental design. Really awesome course. But more so than any of the concept art, digital art stuff, I'm more curious. If you gave me the option, you're like, hey, you could take any kind of art course to beef up your skills. If you want to, if you're looking to level up, the thing that I'd be more inclined to research and practice and learn would definitely be the 3D world building, like what the guys do on was it 3D Max, ZBrush, those guys, Blender. Man, I've watched creators using Blender, and what they're able to do with it is just fucking mind-blowing. Learning how to do some of that could be fun. I could see myself enjoying that. Wow, he does a lot of creating your own brushes. That's useful. Actually, I was learning how to make my own brushes, and I managed to make, I think I was successful at creating 3 brushes that I still use to this day for myself. And I think I uploaded those brushes to my Patreon for my Patreon subscribers over there. But I kind of fell off a little bit. Brush making is a goddamn art in and of itself. My goodness, man. Learning about brush making made me, it gave me such a profound appreciation for good brush makers whose brushes I've used personally for years. And to be honest, I kind of took them for granted. Man. In my head, I was like, you're making a brush. Any asshole can make a brush. It's like, no, dickhead. I dare you to make a brush that you yourself will want to use for your various artisanry. That shit is fucking hard. It involves, digging into programs, digging into the back end of programs, and studying the nuances of that program, which you probably don't know anything about because you probably never took the goddamn time to open up the hood and take a peek underneath. Because I know I sure didn't. And if we're talking about Clip Studio Paint, if we're talking about Photoshop, well then guess what? You're in for a lot of learning, stupid. Because each of those programs, as I also learned the hard way, each program has its own. There are certain things that can be. There are certain elements of brush design that can be imported over, but there's a good amount that's lost. So in order to actually have fully functioning brushes in Photoshop or Procreate or Clip Studio, you actually have to go in there and tweak. You can't just hit export like you would a goddamn Google Drive spreadsheet. You know, it's not an Excel file. There's a lot more nuance to it. And yeah, each digital art program has its own bag of tricks that you've got to utilize in order to get the desired outcome of the brush. So yeah, man. So you got to learn that shit, especially if you're going to sell them. But even if you're not going to sell them, even if you're just going to use them for yourself and you want them to work, ideally for whatever projects you're working on, right? If you want a brush that's going to give you a hair-like texture, which is a great digital, one of the most beautiful aspects of working digitally is the time saving that, or the potential time saving that can be done in helping yourself not waste precious moments. For example, if you're drawing hair or blades of grass or anything like that, well then why, this is digital, baby. We're no longer in an analog world. And by that I clearly mean you do not have to slowly, tediously sketch every single individual strand of hair. That is nightmarish. And honestly, it's just a giant waste of time. There are brushes that save you such tedious, labor-intensive, non-rewarding aspects of art. So let's say you're making yourself a special texturized brush for grass or hair or cross-hatching or whatever it might be. Guess what, man? You might have that special brush in your mind that you want to create. Well, guess who's going to have to learn exactly how to get that done in whatever program you're using. And God forbid you work on your art in multiple programs, not just one. Well, Godspeed, because then you've got twice learning. Thrice if you're working with even more programs. Like I said, if you're working or you want to release a brush for Clip Studio, Procreate, and Photoshop, good luck on you, friend. Yeah, when I see the 3D digital artists doing their thing in Blender, let's say, or ZBrush, or whatever, maybe it's a 3D, whatever, I forget all the various programs. But man, when you see the complexity of what they do, and something about Blender, man, when they start adding in the filters to what they've created, that can make it look like as if it was drawn traditionally, like you're looking at a three-dimensional digital representation of a thing. However, it's been adjusted. The image has been adjusted so that what you're looking at appears to be a manga drawing or an anime, a 90s anime. It's bewildering. It's beguiling. Alexa, what does beguile mean?
The verb beguile is usually defined as to influence by trickery, flattery, etc., mislead, delude. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for beguile.
Thank you.
Certainly. My pleasure.
Why, certainly. Yes. I do feel beguiled. Tricked. Looking at some of that stuff. I know it's not trickery, but Fuck me if it doesn't feel that way. Alright, alright. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. More texture. Let's see if we can't toss on the old overlay and overlay some textures on the non-important aspects of the armor. And that is what we'll do. Let's try this. Yeah, fuck yeah. So yes, I'm going to be using texture to fill out these parts in here. This kind of netting. Oh, this is literally a perfect example of the use of a digital brush. Let me see if I can get rid of that here. So if I literally have a part of his costume that works like netting, right? It's kind of a chainmail-ish like texture. So I need it to look like this. Now, if I was a real digital painter, I'd come in here and I'd do a little something like this. Well, freehand. I'd freehand this, grab it, and here's a little trick. Here's a little trick for anybody paying attention. You grab it and then you warp it, right? Because if it was truly a chain mail or a fishnet or some pattern on your body, even Spider-Man's pattern, the patterns of his web on his suit, they don't lay flat. It's not completely 2D, right? When you look at somebody who, I don't have any pattern stuff on me, but when you look at somebody wearing a pattern, the pattern doesn't just lay on them flat as if it was printed on paper. No, they're a three-dimensional person, so the pattern itself would warp and wrap around the body, the contours of the body. It would stretch on like a shoulder or something and then pinch in an elbow corner. So, you know, you do something like this. Do a little trick like that, right? You stretch, you kind of fake it in order to, you know, make it appear as if the fabric is doing what it would on a person. But I don't give a shit. That will do. That will do for what I'm doing here. See, most of it's going to be covered up by shadow as well. So not the most important part of the process. Honestly, the thing I'm looking to do most tonight while sketching is actually fucking finish a goddamn piece of art, man. I've been moving like molasses of late. And what sucks is I know how fast I could draw when I'm really doing it, when I'm really cranking shit out. When I'm really grinding, I could kick some ass. But my God, man, it's been slow going lately. I don't know what the holdup is. It's like my brain and hands just are. They were put in turtle mode, and in turtle mode is where they stay. Uncertain as to why. Scoob, you ever have that? You take too long. Yeah, no, dude, you should see some, dude, nobody moves fast. Listen, there are two types of artists who move at lightning speed that I know of. Animators, like, specifically, especially storyboarders, quick, fast, right to the point. Animators comic book artists. Man, comic book artists, my goodness. Can they bang out pages or what? The good ones. Just like machines, man. Art making machines. It's quite a sight to behold. Obviously, that, you know, takes years of practice, dedication, years of skill learning. And let's not forget a deliberate practice, right? Because any dickhead can practice the wrong thing over and over and over again, not learn from their mistakes, and just keep on trucking without any real growth or development. But no, not that. I'm talking about deliberate practice, where you very much learn from your errors and move on and come back stronger the next day. Which is easier said than done, friends. Easier said than done. That's right. So that could mean you need to introduce something new to your art. I change what I'm learning when I start to grind. I got the prints. Yes. Excellent. Well done, Too Woke. Thank you so much for the support, buddy. Now I need to go pick up some frames. Hey, they're exactly 11 by 17.
I'm so excited.
So any 11 by 17 frame should be perfect. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, really appreciate it. Too Woke. Too Woke, how do they look in person? I'm leaning towards the one with a mat. Ooh, fancy. Fancy schmancy. Ba ba do 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 ba ba do 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 doobie doobie doo doo doo. They'll look really good side by side. They will. Your purchasing of my portraits really made me want to start, try and do some portrait stuff again. Because I haven't done portraits in a little bit. All right, all the more reason to finish up this Elden Ring piece. How many zines do you have left? 10-ish? I didn't make that many. I only made like 20 at New York City Comic Con. Sold around 10-ish. Why do you ask, Too Woke? Too Woke, did you like the stickers? That's all I care about. Curious how well they were selling. They did okay at New York City Comic Con. Man. Alexa, is it windy outside?
Currently, it's very windy at 28.8 miles per hour. Today, expect a light breeze around 12.7 miles per hour.
Seems a little bit more than light to me. There's some pretty high quality stickers. Did you like? Yeah. Oh, dude. So you actually they're pretty fucking neat, right? Dude, the stickers are my favorite, man. Love the stickers. Give me those fucking stickers, baby. Tuo, do you have a favorite sticker? Honestly, you need to grow so you can have your own merch shop. I do need to grow. I do need to grow, Tuo. I've been, the last couple months, man, I've been a little fucking hermit, man. I've just been hiding in my little shell. No Instagram, no, like, social media, no new anything. Besides this stream. But it's time, man. I know I say that just about every day, but... You hear about Bruce Willis? That Bruce Willis is he's done? Because he's got a mental illness? He's got a debilitating I believe it's a degenerative neurological condition. Yeah, I believe specifically he has aphasia, I believe it's called. And yeah, there were rumors going on for a while about him not being able to remember his lines, and there were instances on set where it was reportedly he didn't know where he was. And yes, if you're wondering, aphasia means that you lose the ability to speak, which is fucking, it's pretty horrible, man. That's a real nightmare of mine. Being trapped inside your own mind. Imagine being just feeling like you're just trapped inside your own body. Or worse yet, man, you're so out of it you don't even know you're trapped in your body. And all aspects of what once made you, you know, all the aspects that made you a fully functional human being, you know, your thoughts, feelings, desires, your tastes, your interests, your hobbies, your loves, all of it, just gone, just taken away from you. So you're just essentially, I mean, it sounds harsh, but just a shell of a person. I can hear Tuvok laughing right now. His dick flopping out of his pleather pants, just cackling. Just thinking of all those sickly, mentally disabled people. You're nasty too. Oh man,
peanuts all over my keyboard.
man, did you guys see the clip of that? Did you guys see the clip of that Twitch streamer that was playing Valorant and was playing against a lady, and the lady essentially told him to get good, and he called her a bitch. He's like, is a bitch talking to me right now? He's like, get the fuck back in the goddamn kitchen. I mean, admittedly, it was really fucking funny.
You bitch.
Then he called somebody a monkey, and he was also he was of the chocolate persuasion, but like I don't know who he called a monkey.
You a bitch. You just a bitchy bitch.
And of course, the Riot Games people, somebody from Riot Games was like, "This person has been banned.
Oh my god, this is racist.
This person has been banned.
Racist motherfucker.
We won't tolerate this kind of behavior on our platform."
Oh my god, racism, Michael D. Nicola.
Can I play it, you think? You think I could play it without getting in trouble or not? Play what, Valorant? No, not play Valorant. That rendering is wild. Oh, you're asking me how the rendering of the armor? Yeah, actually, it looks, again, man, I do not know why, but the rendering on the right, the rendering on the right is closer to the rendering of the actual thing. The rendering on the left looks really flat. And I wish I could take a picture for you. It is actually full of contrast. Let me. Man, I'm always tweaking my iPad Pro settings. Every time I. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's more on the money. I don't know what it is about the damn iPad Pro settings. Oh shit, the old cancel culture is stupidest. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, god damn it. All right. I'm going to play the clip for you guys. I don't care. I'm probably going to get fucking demonetized on YouTube because why wouldn't I get demonetized on YouTube? All right, I found it. I found it for you guys. Here it is. Let me pause the music. Let me pause the music and play this for you guys. This individual, his name is Jake. No, that's the guy who's posting it. This character here, his name is, I don't know what his name is. Oh, I Show Speed. Apparently this guy had millions of followers and he was banned off everything. This got 8 million views. Here we go.
10 seconds. Are you left? Fuck, man! Yo, man, dog, man.
Uh-oh.
Come on, bro. Man, you gotta hit those shots, man. Man, shut your stupid ass up, nigga. What?
That's a good sound clip. Here, let me show you. I'll show you. I'll send it to you guys so you guys can watch it in your spare time as well.
Who you talking to, bro? Shut your nerd ass up, bro. I know how to play this game. Shut up, monkey. Shut up. Shut your bitch ass up.
Now you see. Now you see. I don't know if he was allowed to use that word in that context. That might be inappropriate, but what do I know?
Oi! Oi!
You're at the
Oi!
Calm down.
Damn, bro, shut up, bro. I know how to play this game. I'm not a noob, alright? God
Obviously,
damn.
you don't know how to play the fucking game. 'Cause
What?
you suck ass.
What,
Oh.
bitch? Bitch? Is a bitch talking to me? Is a female talking to me? Am I, no, am I tripping? Am I tripping? Oh, wait, time out. Is a female talking to me right now? Is a fucking female talking to me? Get off the fucking game and do your husband dishes, bitch. Shut up.
Okay.
Fuck is wrong with y'all? Stop talking to me like that, nigga. Fuck is wrong with y'all, dog? I'm not one of these little lame ass Valorant nerds, nigga. Fuck wrong with y'all? Now fucking suck.
Spike down mid.
I got the spike.
Fucking nerds on my fucking team. I'm like, bitch, like, who the fuck is you talking to, bitch? Fuck is wrong with you? Go do your like
Last player standing.
Fuck out of here. Ass. Y'all are pure ass. Y'all are ass. Y'all are ass. Y'all are ass.
Anyway, so that's a normal response to a video game. But yeah, he got in trouble. He got in trouble. I believe there is a. I believe if you look, there's a person. There is a person from Riot that's like. I don't know where she is, but there's some Riot individuals like. We've banned him off every game we have. We tolerate none of this here at Riot Games. Yeah, but there you go. I understand why Valorant queues are so unbelievably toxic. You got the one of the most popular streamers on YouTube saying crap like this, getting nothing but praise and laughs. Hey, Pink. Good thing International Women's History Month is over. Not how you celebrate it. Get off my lawn. Hey, Pink. Pink, did you see this meltdown? This gentleman here. He referred to somebody as a monkey. And then he referred to a woman as a bitch several times and told her to get back in the kitchen and do her husband's dishes, is what he told her to do. And then he said he's not a noob. His content is just loud equals funny and screaming at women. LMAO. No, this clip is recent. Qs have been shit for the whole history of Valorant. I'm not defending him, but singling out one guy who played the game 1 or 2 times, I don't know how long, but isn't that long, is not the reason for Qs being toxic. Love you, Jake, but this ain't it. You don't mention all the games beforehand he played where he gets called a N-word, monkey, all that shit by other people in the game. Oh man, it sounds like oh, Speed has apologized about the clip, further explain the situation. It seems like Valorant it seems like the Valorant community based on this, again, based on me not knowing fuck all, but just reading through the comments here, it sounds like this individual is not indicative of the community. It sounds like this kind of behavior is just kind of par for the course, which reminds me, I know people still talk like this in video game communities. I thought the days of the Xbox Live Call of Duty lobby kind of banter, I thought those days were long gone. Hey, Tuok, do you think there were any good clips in there? Faye was in a Valorant game with randos once, and one of her teammates started talking about what they watched on Pornhub. And were people into it? Were people like, yeah, this is the kind of content I came here for? There's so many weird toxic people online. It's not funny. It was funny, actually. She deleted the clip. Boo. The guy was like, I saw the Easter Bunny on Pornhub. He wasn't very nice. Oh my goodness, not the Easter Bunny. Well, listen, man, that phrase, you know, doing it like rabbits, that didn't come out of nowhere. That didn't just come out of nowhere. It's funny when you hear it in person. Listen. You know, I wonder, man. How much of that is human nature? Just people being inclined to be trolls? Because it's easy to say, oh my god, this is so toxic. This is so toxic, do better. And, you know, listen, I'm not making excuses for the dude who is being an asshole in a video game lobby. Like, is there any way to stop it? Like, you could ban him for sure. Single that guy out, ban him, whatever. It's obviously, you know, it's the punishment that they are going to give for breaking their terms of service and being a toxic gamer. Sure. But again, this individual is he's the symptom, man. He's just one of a legion. You know, it's not like, oh, we banned this person. Problem solved. Valorant, worry not. Valorant lobbies are 100% non-toxic. Queuing up with the randos in games is funny because they say random shit. The reason many streamers avoid it is because someone could use a TOS. Oh, 100%. What's up, that show? Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't think, man. Some people like being dickheads on the internet. Again, not saying that's an excuse for crap behavior, but they like it. They like stirring the shit up. They like fighting with people. I mean, I know non-toxic people who, well, they're toxic in their own right, but I know non-trolls who still like to get in the mix with strangers on the internet. So much so you want to be like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing, man? Is there nothing better to do in your day? You don't have anything better to do. Like, there isn't a project you want to work on, you don't have a hobby, you don't have chores. No, you've decided that it would be in your own best interest and the best course of action for your mental health today is to get on the internet and start screaming at strangers, screaming your opinion at them because they have a differing opinion, or whatever the hell the case may be. Hello, Schmidt. Schmitty. Welcome back, Schmitty. Schmitty Titty. I'm just well, I'm rendering this MFR a little bit. Apex is way worse than Valorant. Valorant actually seems like one of the less toxic ones. Fortnite was usually pretty clean, probably because the audience it attracted. I wonder if Call of Duty lobbies are still rough and tumble. I wonder if there are any games that like secretly like that they're considered toxic. Welcome back, Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt. Schmidt. Yes, I am, like I said earlier, I am attempting to render this piece. Whoops. And for those of you who played Elden Ring, you know that this particular armor is what I'm drawing is based on the Crucible armor. And the Crucible armor is very detailed and very fucking annoying to render, and considering I'm not much of a painter, I do not like it. Do not like, cannot recommend. Let's see if we can give this armor some texture. Well, 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 if it isn't Caucasian mixed Japanese Vulp face here to brighten up all of our days.
It'll get really, really hard.
It's her favorite.
It'll get really soft.
Nobody knows more about things getting harder and or softer than young Vulpsy over there. Zebra Chess. Old Vopo. Guys, when was the last time you think Vulpsy called someone or something retarded? She wouldn't obviously now, because she wouldn't use such words, but maybe in the early 2000s, maybe? No, don't chime in. No, keep yourself innocent and pure. Let us get in the muck for you. I'm actually not sure that I ever have. Get out of here. Never, 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 ever. Not even in the Call of Duty days, Vulpsy. Like, I would just say dumb instead. I haven't heard that in so long. I'm actually not sure. I would just say dumb instead. She's too sweet to do something like that. Now that was you fucking bitch. You'd say that to people? What are you, a Valorant player? Vulpsy, you see that Valorant clip that's going around? I just played it for everybody. I probably just broke TOS by playing it for everybody where, dude went on a tirade.
All a bunch of fucking assholes!
Dude went on a major unhinged tirade. A young man, a young black man playing Valorant, apparently massive YouTube community, was playing the game, and he was playing with a young lady and some other people, and he referred to one of them as a monkey, and then told the girl to, well, shut up, stop talking to him. He called her a bitch several times and then told her to get in the kitchen. And so that's been making the rounds today. Or yesterday. I'm a very silent person when I'm mad. You know, I used to date a girl who, whenever she got mad, would start crying. And I was like, what's that about? And she was like, she gets so worked up and frustrated. That's how it comes out. And I'm like, can't relate. Can't relate. Because when I get mad, I get mad, man. I've never hit a person while mad. That's not my jam. But I'm definitely more inclined to lose my temper. What happened to the Game Awards? Dude, I heard E3 got canceled. Is that true? I wonder why. I'm assuming because nobody was watching it because it sucked. And it just got progressively worse and worse over the years, where it seemed like it was lies. Like the game demos and the stuff that would appear there. It was all people shilling for major corporations. And half the time it was lies. Like what was it the game was it Anthem? That was debuted at E3, and the demo was just a complete 100% fabrication. Like they had worked on making the demo look like something feasible, but really the actual game itself was nowhere near complete. I believe it was Anthem. I might be mistaken. It's been a little bit of time. Volp, what have you been working on? Volp, dude, are you still in your Discord lobby at all hours of the day? I don't know if she still is, guys, but there was a while there where I would see, because old Volpo there and I are Discord pals. So if you're Discord friendly with somebody, you get a little update in the corner there. It says, oh, hey, your Discord friend is doing this. And like, I swear, I would look at Volpsy's name, and 9 out of 10 times it'd be like, oh, this person here, oh, they're streaming in their Discord channel, or a Discord channel. Yeah, I am right now. Are you with others? Can they hear you? Are they talking right now? I like to think that Amy's friends are talking to her right now, and she's like, she's listening to us use the word retard, and she's she's just not quite listening to them. Hey Volpsy, did you ever get any weirdos show up in there? Like, you know, you're trying to work on your new 3D art, and somebody comes in there and it's like, you sound cute, let me see your toes. And then Volpsy's like, Tuok, I told you to stay out of here. No, I'm muted. Someone go over to her Discord and check. I've just been trying to do art things and picture things and work out things, but otherwise life is pretty boring.
Why are you naked?
How are your streams, Volpsy? For those of you who don't know, Volpsy is she's just a very, very calming voice. Very calming. So calming, in fact, I'm shocked she's never got into ASMR. Man, you should see the money that's in ASMR. My goodness. And I'm not even talking, I'm talking about non-Amaranth style ASMR. Not like ASMR, but like my feet are like massaging the microphone. Just talking about like regular, like somebody normal, right? Somebody reading a book, or you know, just doing the various sounds that people like to hear, you know, like the actual, like, people who aren't on, you know, OnlyFriends. The wholesome stuff. For normos, not pervos. Book reading, calming. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a DeviantArt Collective member. What does that mean? No, because you filter the shit out of your voice, really? I hate when people fetishize things. I mean, that's the entire internet. I slightly tweak my settings a little bit on my microphone, but it's pretty subtle. Like, if you were to hear my voice in real life and the voice here, it wouldn't be all that dissimilar. I used to mix it around more. Like, I really used to kind of push the tones of my voice. So, you know, my voice might sound a little bit deeper. It wasn't that ridiculous, but you know, the bass was, but it was, I don't know, man, it felt like a fib. It felt like a lie. Yeah, there's roll stages. The more active you're in it, the higher the rolls you get. What do you get out of being a high roll Discord, DeviantArt, whatever? Should I usually hang on the higher rolls because I know it's not going to be just trolls? Oh no, that's from my Discord store. Oh, okay. I have never used stages, so I don't know. I've never Discord staged before. Do you like it? For DeviantArt, they made a team of streamers to sponsor, and they host challenges and tutorials. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know DeviantArt gave two fucks about art streaming. Do you know if Sims Art is part of that? Because I feel like he'd be one of those types. Mike needs that YouTube sponsorship. YouTube doesn't want to fucking sponsor anything I'm doing. He is. Wait, I'll get a list. Yeah, no, I've seen him promoting DeviantArt on his stuff before. Dude, I didn't even know DeviantArt was still around. DeviantArt Collective. Yeah, same for a while, and then I see it pop up every once in a while. Oh, May 21. Shit. Damn, there's a whole fucking team. Every time I go to DeviantArt, it's a bunch of inflation art. Inflation. What is that? I know it's a, what is that, a hentai thing? I wouldn't know. Listen, I've never masturbated to cartoons. Don't Google. Trick question, do you think there are more doors or wheels in the world? Wheels? I'd say wheels. Bear is also on it. Sarah Jean. Forgot about her. DeviantArt really has become only deviants now? Wheels for sure. Do they allow pornography on DeviantArt? I feel like with the traffic I see, it's gotta be wheels. Call the Eternals to fight the Deviants. Yoji, you ever go on DeviantArt? Yoji, when are you gonna start watching that the pachinko show? I want to know from the Korean perspective if it's any good. Cause I'm watching it and I'm fucking like, this is dope. But then I'm like, I wonder what the authenticity of the show is. Cause what if it's bullshit, Yoji? I like to think technically not hardcore kind, but yes, DeviantArt was bought by some other company. Is that why they were able to like that? Is that why like a couple years ago they went through that the whole revamp? Because DeviantArt used to look like complete butthole. Like for the longest time, DeviantArt looked like a old school early 2000s page. It looked like LiveJournal or one of those old-timey websites.
Look at this butthole.
Yeah, that's what you said when you're looking at DeviantArt back in the day.
Looking for booty.
They had a bunch of stuff like subscriber system similar to Patreon, NFT theft protection thing. Wow, look at DeviantArt trying to make a comeback. Pachinko is sort of true in the sense that Koreans did supposedly start pachinko. I wonder if it will deal with the gambling element. I watched, I'm like 3 out of 5 episodes in. It lightly touches on that. But it, you know, without spoiling it, it does focus primarily on a Korean woman who was born in 1910 and grew up during the horrific Japanese occupation. Hey Volpsy, do Koreans ever come after you? One half of you? Or maybe gambling is illegal, but those balls can be traded for trinkets, which are traded for cash. You know, they're building next to the pachinko parlor. Oh my. Jokingly, yes, I think so. Oh, that's funny. Does anyone in chat have any ancestral hostility toward other people? I don't. I wasn't raised that way. My parents didn't instill any. Not that they would. I'm not the same ethnicity as them. But even to their own respective ethnicities, they didn't harbor any weird resentment to any existing groups of people. Which, thank God, right? You don't want that. Like, why pass that trauma on to a completely new generation, right? What does that accomplish? I have hostility towards everyone. Particularly used to be big, but it sort of lost its popularity, especially morons, which most of the human race. Do you think you're physically and mentally fit enough to get drafted? Fuck no, dude. My fat old ass. No goddamn way. Actually, I gotta start working out again, man. I'm so out of shape these days, I'm jerking off and fucking getting out of breath. I mean, it's not that bad yet, but it'll get there unless I start fucking getting my shit together. Yo, Volpsy, you work out, dude? You getting buff? You doing your cardio? Yeah, are you really? Because the reference project. What kind of exercise you doing? How many people know about your reference project? Is it a secret? Is it a secret, he asks in front of a bunch of random people in history and on YouTube? Mostly body weight. I don't know, maybe 5. It's the one thing that pushes me to do it. Are you self-conscious about that kind of stuff? I just have it under a different name, but it's not supposed to be a secret or anything. Light the bonfire. Light the bonfire. Are you calling for Gondor's aid, or are you looking for lost grace? Whiteboardist. Kinda, yeah. Hey Volpsy, I got a question. Was that oil? Was that like lotion, or was that water? Secret Volp alias? Not only friends. I don't want to say the word because YouTube. Well, 100%. I've broken enough of their monetization rules this evening. That one's a big no-no. Baby oil is a secret weapon. Volpsy has a bucket of baby oil just right underneath her desk. It's not a secret. Guys, it's a secret. It's Volpsy's dirty little secret. Two Oak wants to know, where do you apply to be oil friend, oil assistant? This evening I was thinking the past 10 minutes knowing you. I mean, it makes things shiny. Whiteboardist, how much baby oil you got on you right now? I bet Whiteboardist is so lubed up, you probably can't even look at him directly without hurting your eyes. Just the shine coming off his body. Just that glisten. It might damage your retinas. If you're gonna look at Whiteboardist dead on right now, you gotta put on those old Korean lady shades. You know, the ones that make you kind of look like Cyclops from the X-Men. Just those fat fucking giant wraparound ones. None, actually. I haven't used baby oil in 20 years. So what do you use to grease up? Hey Volpsy, once you started that new Twitter account for the reference photos, did Did any of thirsty dudes come out of the woodwork? Was anybody sliding into your DMs all of a sudden? Like, oh hey, we haven't talked in a while. Nope. Bullshit, dude. I think you're covering up. In fact, a lot of people blocked me. What? Maybe it was too much baby oil, I think. Puritans. They're not, guys, you don't see anything. It's not like that. People blocked you. Well, since it's new, I think it also looks like a bot account. I think you should keep it secret. That's what I would do. It's so fucking funny to me. If I recall, didn't Mike get some interesting DMs back in the day? I've had my fair share of interesting DMs from individuals. It's true. Not so much these days. Well, I did delete my entire Instagram profile, so that's probably it. But yes, in my youth, I actually received some very risque, unsolicited DMs once upon a time. I remember the first time I saw unsolicited vagina show up in my inbox. It was quite jarring. Handful of times.
And look at that pussy.
I mean, essentially, it's like, oh, well, would you look at that? She seems like a meaty cooch. She seems to be very much enjoying herself in the bathroom. In the tub, rather. Volpsy, how long has it been since you received
a pussy mix?
How long has it been since you received an unsolicited, provocative DM? Later, whiteboardists, 2015. Bullshit.
Describing this dick. Well,
Are you
it
serious?
looks like a seed that like half sprouted.
What the fuck?
I'm actually serious. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I mean, I'm not like saying that's a bad thing, because it's actually pretty good, because most girls are wildly upset having to deal with that.
Your penis is bigger than a small elephant.
Yeah, most people, most women I've talked to really,
Your penis
truly
is literally the biggest thing within the tri-state area.
hate that. So, I mean, good for you, for sure. But also, like, man, I wonder how you're able to avoid all those kinds of shenanigans.
Holy cow! Your penis is gigantic.
Hey, Volpsy, what happened in 2015, though? Who was that gentleman? It was a former Twitch CEO. I have no idea why. I think it's just because I suck at responding to DMs, so people just don't bother. That's probably why. You know what? You're probably buried in her spam folder, in her like request folder. There's probably a small army of Wang.
Huh? What, you want some dick?
His dick is definitely broken.
I also don't post selfies anymore. Actually, that's probably why too. Yeah, Volpsy, why no where's the thirst trap photos? I get more "Are you girl" IRL. Wait, Volps, are you saying that people on the internet are worried that you might have a penis? Some guys are into that, by the way. Some guys like their ladies with a little cock. You know, they take a look at it. They take a look at one sexy lady, and they think, "Man, you know what? You know what would make this lady a lot hotter? She had a little bit of dick." But there's only my profile pic.
Horse car.
There's some guys out there who use females as their profile picture. Yeah, that's true too. I see that a lot on TikTok. Yeah, no, that is pretty interesting. That a lot of guys are like, "Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna take my favorite post. I'm gonna take my favorite photo of my favorite K-pop gal, and I'm gonna just put her as my profile photo." Is taking your favorite K-pop star's photo and making it your profile picture, is that the modern day version of like hanging like a poster of some babe on your wall? Like if you grew up in the
weird as shit.
Yeah, if you grew up in the early 2000s to like the 80s and 90s, right? No, I never did that. I wasn't much of those, you know, I never subscribed to like FHM or Maxim or any of that crap. And I definitely never hung a like bikini laden photo of anybody on my wall. It was definitely not my bag. Tuok, maybe that's what you should do. Find your favorite singer from Blackpink and use her as your profile picture. I mean, my BFB is that lady that Mike drew. K-pop is cringe. Jeez. That sounds like racism to me. I know that one BTS song that was everywhere last year. It was, like, that song was inescapable on the internet. Right, John Amore? John Amore, Johnny boy, do you recognize this armor? Alright, there's a Soulsborne vet in here. Dude, I still haven't finished the game. But it's time, man. Actually, no, I gotta do Garang's quest first. Then I want to fight Malekith, and then I'm just gonna... And then that giant dragon in Fire Missoula. And then that's it. I'm that final boss, but I'm holding off. Me too, man. It's like I don't want to finish it, you know? Well, I've killed Malekith and a giant dragon. Oh, the big one in Far Missoula that you have to do to get rid of the frenzy flame, you know, to get Michaela's needle, whatever, to get the flame off you. Yeah. Did you do the frenzy flame quest? Dude, if I do full New Game Plus, I'm gonna go either Frenzy Flame ending or Dung Eater ending. I'm gonna do a bad one. I didn't do Placidusax. Placidusax. That sounds like a Rick and Morty character. John Amore, you just missed Volpsy. Volpsy was in here talking about baby oil and getting sent dick pics in the 2015s. When suburban animal is late, blame Elden Ring. Now I'm avoiding Volpsy. Is it because of the Japanese thing? Hey, now, John Moore, a couple times this week I mentioned some of the atrocities committed by the Japanese. So obviously we've got the Japanese occupation of Korea and all the horrible things that happened with that, starting in 1910, as we all know. Never forget. And then I also touched on the rape of Nanking, where it was said that Japanese soldiers in World War II, they estimated anywhere between 5 to 30,000, assaults, we'll say, of a certain kind. Do you sell these drawings? I sell prints of them. But John, you got me thinking, man. I know a lot of nations had their way with your nation. Did the Japanese ever do anything to your people? Did they ever set down over there and terrorize? John's ancestors scream in his head. They massacred over 300,000 people, and the list of atrocities are graphic. Are you talking about Nanking? Or are you just talking about like the atrocities during World War I? Or are you talking about the Korean occupation in the early 20th century? We got to keep our Japanese atrocities, got to keep them in line, got to. The rape of Nanking. Oh my God. Yeah, there was an instance of a couple of Japanese soldiers who were trying to. They actually had a ongoing bet to see how many people that they could kill via bayonet, I believe. And at first they were racing to 100. And then they each individually hit over 125 to these individuals. But then once the war was over, they were court-martialed and shot. But just to kind of put you in the mindset of what was going on over there. Pretty horrendous stuff. The stories of babies being bayoneted. Oh no, dude, there were women who were bayoneted to death, but the way in which they used the bayonet, they used it, they put it in a place about as awful as you would think you could put a bayonet, and that isn't in your face. And they decided to off them that way. And they would decapitate a ton of them, and of course, have their way with them, all of them. So yes, pretty damn horrifying stuff. Before Douglas MacArthur came to the Philippines, we were occupied by the Japanese. They took comfort women and killed a lot of dudes. Wow, damn, the Philippines too. Jesus, man. It goes even further back. When Oda Nobunaga's successor, Hideyoshi, was sent to Korea, he was told to bring back trophies. He cut the noses off Koreans and brought them back to show many. Oh my God, man. Jesus. Quick, get Volpsy back in here. Let's start yelling. No. I was joking earlier about how there's a generational trauma that's passed down culturally. There was even an Australian and some other European woman caught up. Yes. There are stories. There are stories of women who were taken by the Japanese during World War II against their wills. Yes, not just Korean and Chinese, but other women as well. Something else people don't realize, there were even some Japanese taken it. Wow, jeez. John's writing this all down for potential urban animal storylines. She ended up in some foreign country that she was dragged to after the war. She refused to go back to Japan. Wow, man. Their own people. It's so weird, and I've mentioned this before, that, you know, comparatively, Japan is such a small nation. It's so small. And yet, just terrorizing. I mean, I use the similar example with, at least in regards to Great Britain. Another island nation. And again, the size of, I think, Pennsylvania. And yet, just animals, man, what they're able to do. My granduncle was 7. My granduncle once told me he saw a soldier toss a baby to another soldier and the other guy caught it with a bayonet. Oh my God. Koreans were spread across Asia because of the forced labor and forced migration. My grandparents were forced to move to Japan. Koreans are blamed for a lot of the crime in Japan. The British Armada, along with the Spanish and Portugal, had formidable militaries. Also, they had guns before everyone else. John, are there still Filipinos that harbor a kind of resentment? I mean, there must be, right? I mean, how could you not? Especially if you saw things like that. And then they see John Amore running around in a Naruto t-shirt. Disgraceful. John Konichiwa Amore, he says. Portugal sold arms to the Asian countries. They were selling muskets to the Japanese. Yeah, John Oni-chan Amore over here, as his ancestors look down, furious. Even more disgraceful, he does the Naruto run with the arms flapping at his sides. Oni-chan? Not in my house.
Oni-chan. Hi, Oni-chan.
I heard John's dad had specific toilet paper custom made of the last Japanese emperor. just so he could wipe his dirty butthole with his face.
Daddy. Thanks, Daddy.
Oni John is what they call him. Yeah, man, shit, I guess, yeah, fuck, dude, if you're old enough to remember that or remember stories of a parent telling you of the atrocities committed, it's probably not something you let go of easily. Unless you're John Moore. Who so easily trades in his cultural, his ancestral dignity over a big titty waifu. Just like that.
Meow meow pussy sis.
This cat's getting too big for my desk. He's taking up a lot of space now. If you read about it and see the photos, it's hard not to be affected. I've actually, I mentioned this the other day. I was looking at dude, I'm so uneducated and stupid. This is not generally topics that are discussed in American history at all. Because, you know, listen, or just history in general. Especially not in public school around here. So public school around these parts is kind of good goddamn luck. Enjoy yourself, stupid. So, you know, I'm in my 30s now having to look this shit up because I wasn't educated on it. It was skipped in public school education. So looking at it now for essentially the first time, like I'd obviously heard loosely about the horrible war crimes that were committed by the Japanese during World War I. But I didn't know the extent. I never bothered to truly look it up. So I decided to fix that the other day, and I took a trip down a couple websites, you know, like Wikipedia and others, just to see what the heck happened. And those images are fucking horrifying. Like, yeah, they were bayoneting kids. They were bayoneting innocent women, having their way with them, and then ending it with gut-wrenching violence. And at some point, I actually had to close the website and step away, man, because it was too much. It was literally too much. I mean, like, I wasn't crying or anything, but I was like, man, I'm like, dude, this is like, I hit my threshold. I didn't even know I had a threshold for that kind of shit. But after you're watching, after you are watching or looking at the pictures or film, there's actually a film that a missionary took of some of the things that were committed there. And you're looking at these people who've just been ravaged, and all the lives lost, and the brutality of it all, the just heartless violence. Yeah, after I must have been looking at that stuff for about an hour and change, and then just like, I'm like, I can't look at this shit anymore, dude. Like, it's too fucking much, man. It makes you lose it just makes you lose faith in humanity. So much evil in the world. American history classes are mostly a joke. Book by a guy who survived the Japanese occupation in Korea. There is a mostly fictional movie called My Way about a Korean kidnapped to work for a Japanese army and then kidnapped by the Russians and then finally ending up with the Germans on D-Day. Oh, God. I've heard stories about the after effects of the Korean War. What After Effects? How do you mean, Yoji? You watching Moon Knight? I did. I am liking it. This, I think, first 2 episodes in, listen, I'm hesitant because it's, Marvel TV. But I would say, so far, this is Marvel's strongest series. Which, thank fucking God. But yes. Very, very strong. 2 episodes in, I am invested. I am invested in Oscar Isaac's character. I'm curious to see where they go with this. And it seems like I love a self-contained story. I understand the MCU because it's so big. These puzzle pieces do have to fit together, and when it doesn't, you get the Eternals. But there's this forever line that MCU movies must travel on, and it's a very thin band that they must traverse of existing as a standalone film on its own without any real necessity to watch the previous to fucking 40 some odd films in order to be invested in the characters and the story and the villains and all that, but also have it fit in the greater MCU arena. And that I think we've taken it for granted that so many of the films do accomplish that for the most part. Although Marvel tends to be relatively cookie cutter these days, so that it's very formulaic. But like I said, more often than not, take something like the Guardians of the Galaxy, you're able to be introduced to new characters, new themes, new environments. They unlock a larger part of the MCU mythos and universe, and yet still can tie back to the greater MCU. Narrow. And I think Moon Knight is doing that.
Next week, why?
Sweaty Asparagus, thank you so much, cutie, for the 4 months.
Hey, Michael.
Hey yourself, old buddy, old pal. Thank you. Much appreciated, friend. Yeah, I was just talking about Moon Knight. John, what do you think of Moon Knight? Did you see Oscar Isaac as an executive producer on it? I did not. What ethnicity is he? I think he's Guatemalan, right? Because he's looking like he's Guatemalan, but he looks like he could be Egyptian. Is he part like Arabic or Egyptian or anything like that? Middle Eastern? My rents used to talk about how the country was destroyed and how hungry they were all the time because of the Korean War, with after effects of World War II and the Japanese occupation. Shit, Yoji, that's a lot, man. Right? Because the Japanese occupation, followed by
whatever your currency is,
World War II, followed by the Korean War.
How broke you are. If you have time to watch Twitch, you have $10. Truly.
You have $10.
If you don't have $10,
give me $10.
You probably don't have time to watch Twitch because you should be working. You should be trying to earn money.
Thank you for the bit, Sweaty. Taking the charts at this month's numero uno, Bit Baby. Crushing it. Thanks, buddy. From the bottom of my greedy little piggish heart. Thank you. Hey, John, do you recognize this armor? Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the tips. Just the tips. Courtesy of Sweaty Asparagus. Gracias, friend. My beanie is off to you, friend. Always stay on top. The Japanese... Isaac's idea for the British accent. He's only on board for 1 season. He probably learned after the Star Wars multiple picture fiasco. He's Guatemalan. Strictly 100% Guatemalan? I can't believe I remembered that. You know what it is? I remember that he's Hispanic. I remember that he's Hispanic because of a video I watched with him and Pedro Pascal. So if you didn't know this, Poe Dameron, or Apocalypse, or Moon Knight, whatever you want to call the various characters that Oscar Isaac has portrayed, He is Guatemalan. I think he's part Guatemalan, something else. He might be full Guatemalan. I don't know. But he is good buddies with the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, and they were doing an interview together, and they were like just being silly. It was one like like just a silly like fun little interview, and they're asking each other questions. And I will show you. They asked they asked Oscar Isaac what like celebrity he looks like, or what celebrity he gets confused for, and then Pedro Pascal immediately starts to laugh. And Pedro Pascal actually, I believe, has a Hispanic accent. And he's like, I know exactly who you look like. And he's like, you look like the Muppet. Pedro Pascal says to Oscar Isaac. And Oscar is like, what? He's like, I sent you the Muppet. And he's like, the one with the eyebrows. I'll show you. And then he was talking about Sam Eagle, the Muppet. He's like, that's who you look like. And it's so, at that moment, Oscar Isaac reaches over and slaps Pedro Pascal on the face, and he says, "Ay, que malo," which is really funny. Essentially, him saying, "Yeah, fuck, man," like that's what you're. But it was really funny to see, as like, oh shit, these two are friends. Like, oh, these two actually like bust each other's balls, and like he's like, "Hey, look, I found your lookalike," and sent him a picture of Sam the Muppet, or Sam Eagle. Anyway, so that's why I remember Oscar Isaac is Hispanic. Just got my tax return, so sending it forward. Thank you, Sweaty. Glad you got some money back from the government. Early life Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada was born in Guatemala City. Wow, Guatemala, to a Guatemalan mother, Maria Eugenia Estrada Nicole, and Cuban father. Okay, so part Cuban, part Guatemalan. Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada. Thought he was talking about Oscar the Grouch. I just thought that was sweet. I thought it was like, oh man, these two get along. They've like they obviously like chat each other up and bust each other's chops. Well, I like that. I don't know why I like that for some reason. Just like, okay. Maybe it makes it seem like he's more of a human being than the rest of Hollywood. But you never know, man. Yo, I heard a rumor that Will Smith, or not a rumor, I heard somebody say that Will Smith checked himself into a rehab this week. You guys hear that? No. I mean, if anybody in the chat wants to take a look, see if there's any merit to that. Some letter Willow supposedly wrote to Tupac as an 11-year-old surfaced. Oh my god. Dude, there's a video that surfaced also that somebody recorded from Jada Pinkett Smith's live. She did a live how do I phrase this? Wait, hang on, why does this look so green? Whatever. Talked about how she and her mother misses him and how happy they would have been if he was still alive. Oh my god, dude. And you know she's 11. She's 11. She's young. She's like, what, 20 now? It's like, she doesn't know about Tupac. Like, the only stuff she knows about Tupac are from TV, movies, and what her mother has talked about Tupac. So that means her mother filled her head up with longings of Tupac. Her mother, again, who used to date Tupac and still to this day carries around his letters and poetry. So she must have been waxing poetic about a lifelong past. God, come on, man. God, that's so fucked up, dude. Tupac didn't like Will. I mean, I believe that. But Yoji, could you imagine, man? Could you imagine you marry a woman and she's teaching your daughter about her deceased lover? Probably showing her letters and all kinds of nonsense. God, dude, what the actual fuck? Like, I get that he's much more than just an ex. Still though, man. I could imagine, because people are fucked up. That family's fucked up. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm not saying you have to hide your relationship or pretend as if he wasn't a prolific artist who was gunned down before his time. Tragically, like, obviously, sure, right? If that was a close friend of yours and you talk about that and press upon, you know, you could turn that into some really important life lessons, right? About violence, about loss, right? About the preciousness and fragility of life, right? There's a whole bunch of excellent meanings, but instead the takeaway is, this is my former lover. Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine the beauty of our love had he not been taken from me? Oh, precious daughter. God. The video I saw was Jada. Jada was on Instagram Live. Jada's on Instagram Live. This is a couple years ago. And she's recording herself, and then she walks in on Will Smith, who was in the kitchen minding his own business, and she puts the camera on Will Smith, and she's like, oh, guess who's on Red Table tonight? Our former, you know, the woman who helped us out immensely, such and such. And she's like, Will, didn't she help us out a ton? And he's like, hey, could you just ask me first before you put me on camera? Just, you know, just so I know. And she's like, and then she kind of like really dismisses him. And he's like, social media is kind of my bread and butter. And then she turns the camera back on herself and is like, you see so-and-so really helped us out. Like, super sarcastically about helping them out with their marriage. And then she's like, well, look forward to her being on the Red Table. And like, there's so much going on there, which is one, like, yeah, don't do that. But like him saying that his social media is his bread and butter, while on live. So like, at one point, so it's like, man, there's a lot to unpack there. So firstly, you're like, well, she should have known better. He's a major celebrity. Yeah, I feel like you gotta know that, like, he has a very, very curated persona to upkeep. It's part of his business. From her point of view, I could see where you might be like, hey, could you just, you know, we're trying to promote this thing. Just say something quick and nice about our therapist. But then you realize, like, wait a second. If this woman helped you guys out with your marriage, you're just gonna talk about that in front of, like, you're gonna talk about like the privacy of her. I think this is before her talking about her affair and their open relationship. I think this is a little bit before that all went down. But I'm like, man, this is all so fucked. Like, the whole thing is just absolutely fucked. So it's like, man, she's got this Red Table thing, and she's inviting on somebody who is like super private in your life that helped you get through a rough, rocky patch with your significant other, and you're just gonna, first off, you're just gonna bring them on your show to talk about, obviously, your very, very private details of your life. And then also you're just going to barge in on your significant other when they're not ready, not prepared, and just like put them on alive in front of how many thousands of people, just impromptu. But then also like he could have handled that way better as well, to not like shove it in his face like, oh hey, I've got a big, maybe even bigger social media presence than you. You should really consult me before you put me on. But like also you're her husband, so like why not be a little bit more giving? And then if you do have an issue with it, like talk to her. Like once the camera isn't being broadcast to thousands of people, like be nice in the moment and then just like be like, hey, I love you. I'm happy to help you out. I would have been happy to help you out if you just give me a heads up next time. You know, like be fucking civil, right? Like dude, the more I learn about their relationship, the more I am just fucking beside myself. I am just so confused as to how something like that can even exist in this day and age. Like something so dysfunctional and toxic and full of animosity and passive aggressiveness. My God. Will over here is like Emma Frost to Tupac's Jean Grey. There are talks his agents were thinking about dropping him. This is looking so cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Elden Ring armor. This is Elden Ring Crucible armor. It's some of the best armor in the game. I like to rock it on my wizard. Cause it's a good time. Love the white on black. Thank you. Telling Willow Tupac would have killed Chris Rock for familiarity breeds contempt. Jada doesn't have much of a career. Rob Liefeld made a comic book with Jada because he thought it would lead to a bigger deal in a movie with Will. Will's company optioned the character for $300K, called The Mark. Shitty Green Lantern ripoff. Wow, good for Rob Liefeld. Finding another payday. I wonder how much money Liefeld kept from the days long past. From you know, most likely a place where comics will never ever be again. Rob got a lot of money for more movie options for shit that was never made. Yo, that's how to do it, dude. There are plenty of stories of people, like their stuff being put on retainers, where it's like, yeah, stuff being optioned, and that's free money, because what they'll do is they'll buy the rights. They'll buy the rights, for those of you who don't know, they'll buy the rights to your project, generally with a timestamp on it, before it gets made, and it's like, oh yeah, well we'll temporarily license this out while we, you know, get everything in order, and then hopefully there'll be a movie or something. But more often than not, nothing happens. You get a payday for essentially doing nothing, and then eventually you get the rights back anyway. But I mean, to be honest, the people who make the most money are people like Rob Liefeld and Mark Millar. If they're optioning your stuff and you're just a no-name indie artist, you usually get the paycheck you get is shit. They toss you a couple grand and tell you to, you know, you get what you like and you'll fucking you'll enjoy it, or you'll get what we give you and you'll enjoy it rather. Shit, even Spielberg spent a couple $100,000 optioning his shitty ideas. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous said he had 12 million in the late 90s. Wow. Millar already sold everything Netflix around 50 mil. Yeah, he exists in rarefied air, Millar. We've talked about this on stream before. When it comes to comic book guys who have that access to like that kind of money, that kind of notoriety, there's like, you could really only name a handful, right? Robert Kirkman, Mark Millar, Frank Miller, maybe a couple more that I'm forgetting. But that's it, man. Like, that is, you know, super, super unlikely for an average comic book artist to you know, fall into that. Todd McFarlane, right, there you go. Rumor was Millar got $2 million and a condo up front for DK2. Wild. McFarlane cause of the toys is supposed to be worth over 300 million. Man. Well, dude, did you guys catch the internet getting fucking pissy about Todd McFarlane a couple weeks back? So for those of you who don't know, Todd McFarlane was being interviewed on somebody's YouTube channel or Twitch channel or something. And this guy had a lot of questions, you know, to the Todd father, as they call him, about toys. They wanted to know the ins and outs of toy making. And again, who would know better than a man who started an entire toy company from the ground up, from, you know, being a comic book artist into like a toy magnate, just like that. And by the way, turned it into a very, very lucrative, very successful business that has got a name, has made such a name for himself, such a prestige. McFarlane Toys is still a name that delivers. Like the product, it stands. It's not that, you know, like at this point, Todd McFarlane has made comics in so long, you know, comic book nerds know about him, but the average Joe Schmo doesn't. But if you're a toy nerd, you know the quality of McFarlane products. Anyway, so this YouTuber who was interviewing Todd McFarlane, he had questions about the toy business. And who are you going to ask? Who better to ask about the modern toy business than a guy who's still crushing it in the industry? Who, you know, who's got a beat on what people want, what people like, what sells, what doesn't sell. So during this interview, Todd McFarlane basically says that, and he says it's kind of tongue-in-cheek as a joke, but you can tell there's some truth to it. He said that the toys that sell are toys that are made for boys, young boys. So male action figures that look awesome are going to sell. Young boys are those are the ones they're gonna pick up. And the toys featuring a girl aren't going to sell nearly as much. And he talked about what the breakdown looks like when you're making toys. And who would know better than a guy who has to study these numbers and has done so for decades in order to have a viable business. Like, it is in his absolute best interest to know this stuff, right? Because what kind of businessman would he be if he didn't know what demographic he was selling to and what that demographic buys and what they don't buy? So he's got the numbers, so he knows what he's talking about. But my God, when Todd McFarlane said that, and Twitter got a hold of it, you would have assumed that he put on a fake Charlie Chaplin mask and was goose-stepping down Main Street. It was that kind of vitriol was hurled at Todd McFarlane. Every goddamn name for a misogynist under the book was thrown at him for daring to say that little boys go to the boys' toy aisle and buy male toys more so than they buy girl toys, and that he's never been able to sell a girl toy with any kind of numbers that he was able to sell toys for boys. Or, you know, male toys. Male superhero toys. Twitter was fucking furious. I wonder if he apologized. I hope he didn't. Because again, you know, like, just because you feel a certain way about something, just because the facts of the matter are that the progressive ideology that you hold happens to be not what reality is, denying it still doesn't make it any more real. He started with the toy line because he wasn't happy with the terms and corner cutting the companies working with him. But McFarlane's latest fingers have gone way downhill. McFarlane getting the DC license was huge. McFarlane won't back down. He's a stubborn dick. Also being worth over 300 million, people are still going to buy his toys, right? Yeah. And the other thing is, you know, who are you going to believe? The progressive dickheads that exist in an echo chamber who scream at each other all day on Twitter? Or the guy who's actually making toys to sell to kids and adults? Who has the literal numbers right in front of him to know exactly what sells and what doesn't, because he is a leader in the industry and has been so for decades. But because Twitter is what it is, of course people were like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's wrong, he's a messiah. You know, it's like, man, it's like fucking, man, how goddamn delusional do you have to be? It's one of the reasons why, you know, it's a perfect example of why I don't generally spend any time on Twitter. Because it's people that they only want to hear things that affirm their own beliefs. And then, God forbid, something come across their timeline that contradicts their pre-made beliefs. Well, then it's cancellation time, baby. There's probably some repercussions for him as a company if the figures don't sell. He doesn't want to sit on inventory. He has to know the market. Yeah. His company is big, but I'm sure it's not big enough to waste tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on making toys that people aren't going to buy because some lunatics, 2% of a population on Twitter thinks that this is the correct thing to do. It's like, but gender's a construct. It's a social construct. There's no such thing as boys' toys and girls' toys. It's like, all right, well, you know what? How about you worry about teaching that in your fucking TED Talk? And while you're doing that, I'll make toys for boys and run a successful toy company. And you worry about screaming at people on Twitter. Hey, you know what? This armor doesn't look half bad. We came a long way, baby. The beauty of layers on layers on layers. I wonder how much the DC toy contract was. Oh, here's one thing that DC is weeding out. DC Comics, or the DC Comics toy division is weeding out any and all firearms from their toy line. So if you look, even at the Todd McFarlane collection, if you look at let's say Peacemaker, you take a look at a Peacemaker toy, and he is not holding his custom made, Peacemaker issue Glock or whatever it is. He's holding like I think his accessory is like a baseball bat or something like that. It's really dumb. It's really dumb, and his isn't the only figure that does that. There's another couple where they removed any kinds of but then you're like, wait a second, Peacemaker, that character he's only debuted in R-rated. Peacemaker has only debuted in R-rated media so far. That show is not meant for kids, and the Suicide Squad movie directed by James Gunn is absolutely not directed and not geared towards children either. So who the hell are you doing this for? I wonder if John knows about the Elden Ring glitch that allows you to traverse the map on horseback, but like through walls and stuff. I've heard about it, John. It's called the Pegasus Glitch. I was actually able to pull it off right before stream. I was like, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can't mix this up. Yeah, speedrunner. Yes, most speedrunners have been using it to beat the game in 20 minutes. So they've been using it to get around the map. They've been using it to do all kinds of things. Part of me wonders, like, what if I did that for New Game Plus? I just power ran. It's like, yeah, I'm on New Game Plus 3. I'm on New Game Plus 4. It's like, how? Why? How? It's like, don't worry about it. John, have you heard about the AFK PvP farm? All right, I gotta pee. I'm loving the way this Crucible Knight armor goes. John, have you seen the Crucible Knight armor? There's 2 different kinds in the game that you can get that I'm aware of. The Crucible Knight armor. The Crucible Knight armor, that is the Tree Crucible Knight, which is so cool, man. It's got a helmet with the trees. The trees almost look like antlers / horns, but it's like a... it's like that Swamp Thing crown that they came out when they revamped his design for New 52. Did you do the chariot dungeon? I've been in a handful. I've been in a handful. Which one? There's like 3 or 4 of them that have the chariots, which I fucking hate. Yeah, no, there's a handful. A couple of them you could actually destroy if you get the timing right. But I will tell you, John, your best friend is going to be Bloodhound Step. I don't know if you have Bloodhound Step yet. I think you get it by defeating somebody somewhere. It's the Ash of War that you could put on your dagger. Let me pee. I'm back, baby. All right, we gotta wrap her up. We gotta wrap this drawing up, man. Gotta do the hat, gotta do the staff. Gotta add the lighting from the flame. Okay, all right. Yoji, I'm eating strawberries. Hey Yoji, do you worry about gardening? I mow my yard and cut up down trees. If I ever owned a house, I think I'd like a little greenhouse. Not a big greenhouse, but like one the size of a shed, you know. So like a tiny greenhouse in the back. And then I would think I wouldn't mind growing some tomatoes and that kind of stuff. Maybe potatoes. If there's a lot of wind, you might have to think twice. About tomatoes? Potatoes and cherry tomatoes you can grow indoor on a small scale. I have a lot of wildlife that would eat everything. They come to the house and eat all the flowers out front. Jesus, man. You can't put up gates? A gate around so they can't get in? Dude, I didn't know that I didn't know wildlife ate flowers like that. A deer can jump over anything 6 feet easily. I blame the deer coming up to the house at night. So Yoji, you have deer just show up and start eating, gobbling up your flowers? I have heard in the past that deer can ruin gardens because they'll eat like everything. Yoji, you're not allowed to kill deer on your property, right? Dude, they're so full of fucking ticks and shit, man. Thought about getting some grow lights and growing in the basement. Crops? That kind of stuff? Or like food stuff? Well, I mean, if you got a basement, that's great. My land is only a 1/4 acre, not enough to hunt on. I have a lot of people around me. Yeah, it's probably not legal to do in a residential area. It's an unfinished basement, no restroom. Which what I really need down there. Not even a rough in this one, in for one. Isn't it really expensive to finish your basement? Damn, man, it is pouring out here. I'm just listening to the wind just clash. It used to be like 25K to finish, but since lumber prices over doubled, the stuff is hard to get. I would imagine 50 to 75K. Whew. My God, man. I was listening to a review of the Morbius movie today. One of my favorite YouTube reviewers who kind of, you know, feel like they tell it the way it is. They don't suck up to Marvel films. If anything, they're critical of them more often than not. They reviewed Morbius and said it was one of the worst movies they've seen in a long time. They said Morbius Morbius screws up just about every aspect of what makes a movie worthwhile to watch. So from lack of plot to just bad writing to near no character development, forgettable secondary and tertiary characters, complete lack of character motivation, and various storylines that just fall by the wayside, including, I think they said Michael Morbius's his own like the duality that he's trying to struggle with. So obviously, for those of you familiar with the character, will know that Michael Morbius is a either a scientist or a doctor and doesn't wish to hurt anyone. And therein lies the conflict, right? He needs to kind of feed off people in order to live, but he doesn't wish to harm people, so it creates this inner conflict. But apparently none of that really matters in this movie, which is wild. Or at least they try to make it seem like it should, and then they just absolutely abandon it and forget about it. And then on top of that, it was also said that the end credits are just lame. Lame, uninteresting. We also found out that all the Spider-Man stuff that was seen in the trailers was cut out of the film. And then this reviewer speculated that Sony is still, after all these years, and they've been doing this since Andrew Garfield's movie, second and last Amazing Spider-Man movie, attempting to create a Sinister Six, like a real Sinister Six movie, but it looks like asshole. The argument that this person made was that the characters that they've been creating for their Sinister Six, the three that they've got so far, Venom, Morbius, and Vulture, none of them are bad people. If anything, they're flawed anti-heroes that matter of fact have learned their lessons and are doing their best to not try and harm people, and also have absolutely no reason whatsoever to go after Spider-Man. So yeah. So it was a painful reminder of how Sony is truly hit or miss. Wildly so. And I said it before, I'll say it again. When it comes to Sony, you might feel inclined to praise them for when they do things right, like No Way Home. But you gotta remember, for every Into the Spider-Verse, you have, the failures of Amazing Spider-Man 2. For every No Way Home, which by the way is a Marvel and Sony collaboration. But for every No Way Home or for every Spider-Man 2, you have Spider-Man 3 and Morbius. And the Venom movies, although watchable, are by no means good films. They're fun, sometimes even fun at how bad they are. But yeah, I think people say where I think people see No Way Home and they're so upset with Marvel that they're like, you see Sony's doing it right. Marvel is shit. The MCU is garbage. And then you're like, nah, dickhead. Sony still doesn't know what the fuck they're doing with the characters. After all these years. After Paul Giamatti as Rhino. After bright blue, horribly written Electro, Jamie Foxx Electro, shooting around Times Square to the Electro version of the Itsy Bitsy Spider theme. Just awful. It was speculated that what if the people that were so excited to see Andrew Garfield reprise his role as Spider-Man because of his performance in No Way Home, which I think was the surprise hit of the movie. What if we do get a Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film, which people would now be on board for, because he was kind of the heart of that movie. What if we get it and it's worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2? You know? What if we get an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and it's worse than Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3? Could you imagine? Now is the time for them to make Spider-Man 4. Raimi said Spider-Man 4 would have been his best one. I wonder if he still says that now. Now. No Way Home has given them the momentum to make Spider-Man 4. I would say No Way Home has given them the momentum to do a Spider-Man 4. No Way Home has given them the momentum to probably, like I said, make a Andrew Garfield led Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 3. But you know, with Sony, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You know, you watch Into the Spider-Verse and you're like, yeah, and then you watch Venom and you're like, maybe. You watch No Way Home and you're like, yeah, and then you watch Morbius or hear Morbius reviews and you're just like, oh boy. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Say what you will about Marvel. I know people have their issues and, you know, the cookie cutter nature of it, and sometimes the world building, which sometimes overwhelms the actual story of a standalone movie. At least they've got a track record that the movie you're watching isn't nigh unwatchable. It might be mediocre, but at least for the most part, it's entertaining. When Sony, listen, yeah, I know Captain Marvel and the Eternals, right? There's some stinkers in there. Thor 2 and the Hulk. But like, that's like, you know, those handful of movies are out of like, what, nearly 30 movies? That's pretty good. But when Sony, like, that's when Marvel misses, right? When Sony misses, fuck, man, they fucking miss, dude. Like, they fucking really miss. Studio forced them to put in, yeah. There was a lot of studio oversight in the Raimi third film. He really had no interest in putting in Venom whatsoever. And then keep in mind, they started pre-production for Spider-Man 4. Tobey Maguire was on board, and Raimi, and a lot of them were all on board for Spider-Man 4. And meanwhile, while they were doing that, they had already lined up Andrew Garfield, and they already had a script for the next Spider-Man. Sony was such shitbags that they didn't know it was over until it was too late. Like, they thought they were full ahead on Spider-Man 4 when Sony pulled the plug. And Sony was like, yeah, no Spider-Man 4, new Spider-Man, and it's not you. And I'll see you around. And then those assholes, what ended up happening is the MCU starts to show up when Andrew Garfield is at the helm of the Spider-Man franchise. And Feige and Amy Pascal, that lunatic, were all in talks to perhaps having Andrew Garfield show up and be the Spider-Man that shows up in the MCU. And there were talks about that happening. And then, of course, it fell through. And then they decided that, no. There's a Spider-Man in the MCU. It's going to be an all-new Spider-Man. And again, they pulled a rug out from Andrew Garfield, who had no idea that this was going down, thought he would be in the MCU, and they essentially tell him to kick rocks and fuck off. Like, truly. And he was very bitter about it. He had nothing but negative things to say about his interaction with Sony. And they treated Andrew Garfield so poorly that most people, one of the reasons why people didn't think that he was going to be in the newest Spider-Man film was because of that taxed, to put it lightly, relationship between him and the executives at Sony. There was so much bad blood there. People didn't think it'd be able to happen because they did him so dirty. And like I said, that's Sony's MO. Again, Sony, shitty track record. Avi Arad, Amy Pascal. Again, keep in mind, we look back fondly at Tom Holland becoming young Peter Parker and becoming Spider-Man and showing up for the first time in Civil War. Civil War, people were hooting and hollering and couldn't believe their eyes. They're seeing Peter Parker in the MCU. Unbelievable. But again, that only came to be after the Sony email leaks. The Sony email leaks showed that Amy Pascal had completely shot down Kevin Feige's idea. Kevin Feige came to her and was like, hey, Spider-Man in the MCU, we could make it work. Got some ideas. And Amy Pascal was like, go fuck yourself, we don't need you. We got our own, we're going to have our own Spider-Man, yada, yada, yada. And then once the Sony leaks happened,
I'm so excited.
The Sony leaks happened, the email leaks, and it was found out that Amy Pascal is a fucking lunatic and, walked out of talks with Feige. And it was the executives at, not Sony Pictures, but the executives at Sony at large that was like, hey assholes, you just left a boatload of money on the table out of, who knows, executive pride or whatever the fuck happens with Avi Arad and Amy Pascal behind closed doors. The Sony executives at the larger corporation, like the higher ups at Sony, not Sony Pictures, basically forced them back into a room together to hash out the details and, make it work. So anyway, all this is my long-winded way of saying, don't fucking, you can't trust Sony. Sony isn't like some godsend that's going to fix Spider-Man and, yada, yada, yada.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes!
They are really hell-bent on trying to make a shitty Spider-Verse. They're going ahead with the Kraven the Hunter movie with the dead Quicksilver. Yeah, that one doesn't make sense. Who wants Kraven the Hunter? Like, yes, Kraven the Hunter showing up as a villain in a Spider-Man movie. I'm down. I think it could make it work. But a standalone Kraven film, who cares? It would be like Marvel giving us a standalone Mysterio film. The character can be compelling, but primarily the character is part of a rogues gallery. And I know you might be able to point to Venom or Joker just to use rogue gallery villains and say like, well, these these near duels, they could stand up on their own. I would argue that those are exceptions and not the rule. And I would point to Morbius and say that's most likely what's going to happen. Garfield pissed off the head of Sony Corporate. He showed up to a party and dismissed him. He probably didn't care because he thought the superhero thing was passe and he wanted to be a real actor. Also, he only got, yeah, that's it. 3 Spider-Man movies, he only got 300 grand. They fucked him, man. They 100% fucked Andrew Garfield. We have Spider-Man at home. I'm under the assumption that decent people can't be the head of a studio. Avi Arad is a no-talent hack that got lucky. He needs to fucking stay away from movies and superheroes. Far, far away. Was it Avi Arad that made them, that forced them to put Venom? Forced Sam Raimi to put Venom in the movie? You know what, man? If the past decade plus, I mean, wait, you know, Iron Man 2008, 2022, 14 years, goddamn. If the past fucking 14 years of living in a superhero era has shown us anything, it's that there are no guarantees. Things that look like they might be able to work on paper can easily fall apart. And sometimes even worse than fall apart, can just be absolute unwatchable garbage. Even studios that seem like they've got it pinned down, like Marvel, can churn out something like The Eternals or Captain Marvel, you know? Poor casting decision, poor directorial decisions. Nobody's safe. Avi Arad used to own Toy Biz. Oh my god, Toy Biz. He started making Marvel figures and used the money to take over Marvel and then started putting his name on everything. Oh god. I'm back. My iPad for school should arrive tomorrow. Hey now. Well done, buddy. How was stream? What'd you do on stream, friend? Fucking Jared Leto. Dude, what? Dude, if I was Jared Leto, I'd fire my goddamn agent immediately. That dude is becoming superhero box office poison. I mean, truly. What are the odds that you would be in not one? I mean, I guess Ben Affleck has got the same luck. But what are the odds that you'd be not one, but arguably 2 of the worst superhero movies of all time? All time, hands down. Bet Leto's enjoying the money, though. Well, yeah, it's because idiots keep paying him. When the fuck are studios gonna learn that unless the actor is the caliber of a Robert Downey Jr., they are not worth it, man. Like, I'm sure Brie Larson got a fortune to play as Captain Marvel. Not worth it, I'd say. They did not get their money's worth. Not every dramatic actor or actress fits into the paradigm that is a MCU hero. Just the same way not everyone could be a comedic actor, not everyone could be an action star. It takes a very specific kind of acting to do what they do. I would argue that the days of a celebrity name by itself being enough to put a butt in seat, I think those days are gone. You know, the days of the box office star and starlet where they make all this money because they can put people in the movie theater just based on their name. I feel like those days they're in the rear view mirror, baby. That is not how it works anymore. Times have changed. People have changed. Jared Leto might be an A-list celebrity, might be an incredible actor, but I'm telling you, man, he's not a box office draw. If the movie is shit, people are not going to see it. Look no further, I'll give you an example. Look no further than Robert Downey Jr., the first movie that was released after Endgame, after he had waved goodbye to the character of Tony Stark. So this is him at his peak popularity a handful of years ago. He was in a little known film. I say little known because nobody fucking watched it, to prove my point, called Doolittle. God knows how much money he got paid to do Doolittle, and I'm sure the thought process behind that was, it's Robert Downey Jr. He's as hot as fire right now. Let's put him in a movie. Of course people are going to see this movie. He's Iron Man. Who isn't going to want to see Iron Man? Well, guess what? You know who wanted to see Iron Man? No one. That movie tanked. It was terrible. So even though one of the biggest celebrities, an incredibly talented actor that we'd all come to know and love as Tony Stark, at his peak popularity, could not get people to go see the movie. So yeah, man, those days are done, dude. As far as I'm concerned. So paying an actor like Jared Leto, who's a notorious dickhead, by the way, a fucking fool, a method acting lunatic. Whiteboarders, you weren't here, but we talked about this earlier this week. It came out that Jared Leto went, again, same thing on Suicide Squad, he went full method acting while portraying Michael Morbius. And because Michael Morbius is disabled, at the beginning of the movie, Jared Leto thought he should remain disabled and in crutches whenever he was off camera in order to relate to the character of Michael Morbius, even though Michael Morbius gets better. No, spoiler fucking alert if you don't know the character. Even though Michael Morbius's disease is cured, he thought because this character lived in so much pain, he should also live in that much pain, which involved him slowly putting on his crutches and hobbling his way to the bathroom in order to use it for his pee breaks. And it was such a delay and disruption to the filmmaking, they had to actually get somebody to escort him to the bathroom in a wheelchair so as to not uphold the production longer than it needed to be. So that's the level of Hollywood lunacy that we're dealing with. And yes, to your point, his method acting hasn't paid off whatsoever. Maybe it worked when, I don't know, he was doing Dallas Buyers Club. Maybe he fucked a bunch of gay guys. I don't know. But I do know, in the last couple of superhero movies he's done, it's been shit. And I know you might point to Zack Snyder's, but what about Zack Snyder's director's cut? I saw it. His Joker was fine. It was adequate at best. Decent. But that's it. It wasn't anything to write home about. Anyway, my greater point is, I wish these fucking studios would learn. You don't need a famous A-list celebrity dickhead, lunatic, to portray these characters, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter anyway. Because if the movie is garbage, nobody's going to see it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, maybe there's some hardcore Leto fans out there who know how he's got that fucking giant sweet potato cock. If you don't know what I'm talking about.
Wow, didn't know this was gonna be so big.
Go check it out. Go check out that photo. Don't say I didn't warn you though. I think it's a waste of time. I think find an excellent no-name actor who will, you know, listen, man. Hollywood is full of people who just want to act. You honestly, man, if listen, you get them for cheap. Worry about having an excellent script. Have that be your main concern. Excellent script first. Get that shit down. Get it down. Have that thing rock solid. Work on that script so that it's like like sharpened steel. Full of, you know, memorable, excellent characters, beautiful character arcs, surprise twists. You know, it might take a couple years. It might take multiple people. But in the end, it'll be worth it far more than attaching some schmuck's name to it like Jared Leto and assuming that people are going to go see it based on that solely. Because guess what? They're fucking not. I feel like once people find out that this movie is as garbage as they say, there's no way it's making its money back. Apparently it's barely sold anything in the overseas markets as well. The tickets that were sold in China the numbers are abysmal. And yes, it's looking as if the movie is going to completely bomb in the box office. And rightfully so. It's like when all the studios used to make westerns. Everything is good until it isn't. Watch several big flops and them not make superhero movies. The superhero movie bubble does seem like, 15 years is a hell of a run. And it does seem to be superhero movies after Endgame, I will say, there does seem to be a bit of a downswing. And this is going to be a pivotal moment in the Marvel, DC, greater Hollywood studios. This is going to be the make or break moment for the franchise, for not all the franchises, and just the genre as a whole. Because there is superhero fatigue. I will say there's a lot of superhero fatigue, and if studios keep pumping out movies like Morbius, like the Eternals, that people don't care about, characters that they don't relate to, don't care for, don't like, if you accumulate enough of those, the genre will die. Now perhaps it's only a matter of time. I haven't given up hope though. I like to think that the more people speak out about how bad these movies are, the more of a chance movie studios will have the opportunity to course correct. Right? You take the hit of Morbius, maybe because it hits you right in the wallet, somebody will knock some fucking, maybe the pains of losing that much money in the box office will be enough to slap some fucking sense into the studio heads. Maybe not. Bet Leto is enjoying the money. He's got a cursed track record. Wouldn't want an Oscar, and then you can milk it for a while until you show that it was a fluke. I wonder if it was a fluke for what's-her-face. Sometimes people win Oscars, and then they fucking vanish. Look at Cuba Gooding Jr. Brie Larson has not been in an Oscar award-winning movie since. She's been in Captain Marvel, but again, who cares? Her performance was so bad in Captain Marvel that the sequel isn't even named Captain Marvel. It's named The Marvels, and she's sharing the spotlight with two other individuals because Marvel has lost that much faith in the character and her, again, as a headliner. Take a look at Halle Berry. First movie after Oscar was Catwoman. Big payday and then all downhill. Funny, I was thinking what I'd do if I got cast in a significant role movie earlier today. I think I'd do my first one. Exactly. Pay better writers and the rest will follow. Don't give them your money so they'll stop doing this crap. Marvel isn't infallible, but Sony and Fox keep messing up the Marvel characters they own. They should just sell them back. Well, the good news there is, let me get rid of the old denim jacket. The good news there is that 20th Century Fox no longer exists. Uh, 20th Century Fox. Well, Fox was broken up. Fox exists now solely as the sports and news division. The entire entertainment division of 20th Century Fox and all the properties there within, including The Simpsons and all the X characters and Fantastic Four characters. The licenses are now Disney property because Disney bought them outright in a move that is, quite frankly, shocking. Because in that move, Disney now not only owns Disney Plus, they also are the majority shareholder in Hulu. So they just about own Hulu as well. Which, I mean, somebody when that merger happened, somebody did the calculation, said it was like 3/4 of like the highest box office movies are now owned by Disney. Like, it was something shocking like that. It was something ridiculous. I still want a real X-Men movie. You could write the next gen of Marvel movies all around the X-Men. Yeah, I know they sold that back. How many times did Fox mess up Fantastic Four? 4 times or 2 times? Yeah, no, the Fantastic Four screwed up X-Men. There's so many more bad X-Men movies than good X-Men movies. It's jarring. Well, it just goes to show you, man. Just like what we've been talking about. There are no guarantees. There are absolutely 0 guarantees. X2, Logan, Deadpool. But like Deadpool and Logan, you can't even count them as X-Men movies. Like, I know technically they fit under the X-Men umbrella, but those almost seem like standalone movies because the X-Men are like, they're like an afterthought in them, you know? When we think about the X-Men, we're thinking about the team. And if you know, again, that's narrow. Again, if you're counting Deadpool and Logan, they're definitely in the top 2. If you're not counting Deadpool and Logan, that really narrows it down. I think that narrows it down to X2, Days of Future Past. And what was the other one? What was the one where they revamped the whole thing? The first time that they sent them... the first time they did the prequel, where we were introduced to young Charles Xavier and young Magneto. Oh, it's not X-Men Origins. X-Men Academy? First Class, thank you. I knew it was something academic. Yeah, First Class. First Class was compelling. And then again, downhill, like another downswing. And then, to be honest, I gotta tell you, man, the fact that they, after First Class, they then proceeded to frame the entire X universe around Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique, it didn't work. Like, I understand she's an A-list, again, with the A-list actors. It's like they don't get it, man. Just because this person's an A-list actor, it doesn't mean that it's some guarantee that people are gonna love this character and love them. Jennifer Lawrence's performance as Mystique was okay, very good at times, but you know, serviceable in others, but otherwise overrated. And by them pushing her to the forefront of the X-Men, again, not because Mystique deserves that, but because they wanted Jennifer Lawrence, because she was hot at the time, to essentially act as like one of the leaders of the X. It just didn't work for the character. It didn't work for the movies, and yeah, no bueno. They took pay cuts and lowered the budget to make Deadpool and Logan. Right. Also, the first two Logan movies are crap. Isn't the best X-Men movie Deadpool 2? I mean, it's a contender for sure. We named all the same ones. Nice. Look at us. Look at us. Well, I think most people would name those, right? Logan and Deadpool, if you're counting them, sure. If you're not, like, they're definitely excellent and stand on their own. I would say to this day, Logan and Deadpool are key moments, pivotal and necessary moments in regards to the superhero genre. Those two movies specifically, released a handful of years ago, showed us, and you might as well toss the Joker in there. I know the Joker is a different kind of movie, and I know some people take umbrage with it being a superhero movie and that it doesn't necessarily have to be a superhero movie. It would still work even if it wasn't the Joker. With that said, these movies, they expand the genre, right? Rather than it just being a movie where every problem can be solved with a superhero's fists, and in the third act they fight in the sky some giant earth-threatening. If the superhero movies stick to that same cookie cutter formula, the genre will die. Absolutely. You can only watch so many of those movies. People will burn out. It'll get tedious, it'll get tiresome, it'll get predictable. The Eternals was one. I mention this all the time. In the Eternals, when they tell you that the Earth is in danger, you'd have to hold back your laughter, because you know that they would never do that, because Spider-Man is coming out next month and Doctor Strange a couple months after, and like the Hawkeye series is coming out. There are no stakes anymore. The world is ending. Who gives a shit? So going back to Logan, Deadpool, Joker, other movies that expand the genre, I think they show audiences and they show Hollywood studios that these movies can be financially viable. And as far as the audiences are concerned, these movies don't have to be all the stuff that we've seen time and time again. Which again, and I gotta say, unfortunately, Morbius is a step backwards, because from what I've read, the character that Morbius fights, I don't think they didn't go Earth ending. Thank fucking God. I don't think they did. But from what I was told, minor spoiler about the villain, the type of villain he is. He's played by Matt Smith, but apparently he is much like in Iron Man, much like in Ant-Man, much like in Doctor Strange. The villain is just the hero, but in reverse. So I guess he's got like similar powers to Morbius, but again, it's the same old boring, predictable, like, oh, our hero has these powers and the enemy has these powers and he's a dark reflection of the super. Oh, okay. Who gives a fuck, man? It's old hat. I actually, man, when I heard that, I was shocked. When I heard all of the flaws of the Morbius movie, I was surprised that in this day and age, 15 years into the popularity of the genre, we could get a Morbius which falls into all of the same old plot holes and missteps of superhero movies, which is a damn shame, because I love these movies for the most part. I really just have so much fun when they're done well. And I think there is so much room for growth. And it's the reason why I picked out Logan, Deadpool, and Joker. Those really show us how diverse stories can be told within this genre. And I think the only way it survives, Yoji brings up the point of Westerns coming in and out of fashion. And it's because Westerns, they fell down, people got tired of them. People got sick of them because, how many Westerns can you do? I think superhero movies have a much better shot because of all the wide array of stories that can be told now. It's like superhero films now fall under comedy, they fall under sci-fi, they fall under drama, heavy drama like the Joker, or even Logan to a certain extent. They don't have to be just one thing. But then you get a movie like Morbius, and then it really highlights how poorly studios can deal with superhero movies, or the poor choices that are made. And if anything, that will 100% kill the franchise. You get a slew, I'm telling you, man, you get a slew of Morbius caliber movies from Marvel and DC and whomever else, Sony, and anyone else that wants to throw their hat in the ring. You get enough of those in a row, the genre will die, and we'll do there'll be another. It'll be like what was it? The near 10 years between Batman and Robin and Batman Begins. Does anybody want to look that up? Does anybody want to look up? Could anyone look up the years between when Batman and Robin was released, featuring Chris O'Donnell and Mr. George Clooney, nipple suit Batman. Let's not forget Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy in one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's absolutely terrible. But yeah, they released that piece of shit, and you did not see Batman on screen until Batman Begins. That movie sucks so bad that they just put him on ice. Just like Batman. Wow. 1997 to 2005. 8 years. 8-year hiatus. Where they're like, yeah, Bruce Wayne, never heard of him. Yeah, something like that. If something like that happens, get enough shitty movies like this, the genre will it might not die, might linger, just fade into obscurity, and then it might be, who knows, might be a decade plus till we see superhero movies again. But then, listen, we got Spider-Man No Way Home, which I thought was excellent. Great fan service for those of you who love Spider-Man. We got The Batman. We have Moon Knight out currently, which it's only 2 episodes in, but I gotta say, I said this earlier, I think this is Marvel's strongest series yet. I don't know what they're doing differently behind the scenes for Moon Knight versus the other ones. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it's Oscar Isaac as producer. I don't know. But I gotta tell you, I'm loving it. I'm really curious to see where they go with this. Now it is Marvel, and it is, you know, Marvel on Disney Plus. Unfortunately, the Disney Plus series they've been so hit and miss, even in shows that can be compelling. Yeah, even with shows that did show promise, like Loki, there were some missteps. Some major ones, matter of fact. There's some big story issues with, I think the worst example of the MCU Disney Plus series is Falcon and Winter Soldier. And it's not even just the weird crowbarred in socio-political ideological nonsense that they did try to crowbar in there. And I'm not some YouTuber type that's screaming about wokeism and SJWs and all that shit. With that said, my God, man, the ham-fisted, sloppily done messaging in Falcon and Winter Soldier is embarrassing. It's just, my God, so clumsy, so heavy-handed, so pandering. It just, and I'm not saying you can't put messages, ideological messages in your stories. Hell, I think some stories are better for it, but some fucking subtlety, for Christ's sake. You know, how about some nuance? Shit. There's a Batman show coming with a Black Bruce Wayne, played by Winston Duke. Who's Winston Duke? Is it going to be on the CW or is it going to be on HBO Max? Black Bruce Wayne. I'll tell you why that's a little weird. M'Baku. Oh, M'Baku from Black Panther, right? I'll tell you why Black Bruce Wayne is a little weird. Just in regards to the world as we've known it, the Gotham as city as it's been told in its mythos. The Waynes of Gotham. Now listen, it's all fiction. It's all fucking make believe, right? So at the end of the day, do whatever the hell you want. With that said, what we've seen of Gotham City in just about every iteration, and the Waynes being involved in Gotham City, the Waynes and the Arkhams is I think Penguin is also of relation to the Arkhams. I might be mistaken. Again, the canon changes from time to time, but in most iterations, the Waynes are essentially city founders. The Waynes, they helped make Gotham what it was. And like going way back, we're talking like the founding of the city, you know, Gotham City founded in like the 1600s or whatever. Like most American cities founded then. It was not generally people of color that were city founders at the time because of, well, reasons. Historical reasons generally made it so that old money, that old wealth wasn't, you know, listen, I don't need to spell it out for you. Anybody who knows history knows why that wouldn't be the case, right? When they're showing you the city founding families, it's usually pretty singular colored. But look, listen, like I said, it's fiction. You can do whatever you want. It's a little weird. I wonder, are there any old money, prestigious black families, historic black families in America that would be like I'm actually curious. Are there any like actual real life Waynes? Like, so for example, right? You might be able to point to the Rockefellers, the Astors, the Vanderbilts, right? If we're talking about New York City and some of the big names of people that contributed to the city, and you know, their families might have even, you know, might say, my family owns this town, you know, that kind of shit. But like, again, mostly incredibly wealthy, rich fucking railroad tycoons, oil tycoons. Batman Unburied trailer. It was just a podcast. So is he supposed to be black Bruce Wayne, or is he just a black man voicing Bruce Wayne? No, blacks own their part of town. Right, but you know, because of the segregation and other, you know, nasty historical things, you know, especially in the Northeast, not saying it can't be done, not saying it shouldn't be done. If you look at Boardwalk Empire, they had their big names and prominent families, but it was segregated. I see. So if there was a black version of the Wayne family, they would have, you know, the town that they would have, the city that they would have built would have been a primarily black city, most likely. I wonder if there are any black founders in the city. Oh man, what's the city known as Black Wall Street, where unfortunately had that massacre happen to it? That was Tulsa. Thank you. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I wonder if there any the city founders there were American descendants of slaves. I feel like it's important to say, rather than just black people, but specifically when you're talking about black people who are descended of people who were stolen from their nation, you specify. Or white people thinking they were all white but have black ancestors. Well, dude, I'll never forget Don Cheadle's face when he found out that he was, you know, a man whose ancestors were slaves, unfortunately. But when Don Cheadle found out that the people that unfortunately owned his ancestors were actually Native American, yeah, the look on his face, it was a combination of like perplexion, heartbreak, shock. It's pretty wild. Because that's actually, so that's a thing I didn't know myself. I did not know. Oops. I did not know that Native Americans owned slaves. All right, man, we're getting close to being done. I think I'm going to finish this up tonight on my own time. I'm at 3.5 hours in. You know, I want to, you know, I got to finish up this armor. I got to start working on his face. I've got to render his seal there in his left hand. Add a little bit of background. Some highlights to it. I want to, you know what, I want to clarify some things. You know, I realize that a lot of this, because of all the detail, a lot of it is reading. Unfortunately, a lot of it is reading flat. A lot of it is reading flat to me. So I want to go in there, I want to clarify some of it. Yeah, maybe go in there and darken some stuff, lighten some very specific layers, maybe more contrast, maybe dial back some of the detail in places. Give your eyes a place to rest. Cause yeah, when I squint my eyes, there's a lot of sameness in the lines, which is kind of creating a flat image versus an image where, here, I'll show you where are you? This one. So this one has a lot of detail in it in various spots, but where I chose to put the detail, places like his face, or back here, or even the background. I left a lot of detail. I left a lot of detail out in certain places. Her hair, her eyes, her face, even her sword, in order to give your eyes a break. So you see, there has to be contrast, not just in the lighting, but there has to be contrast in the art itself. Because if every area of the piece has the same amount of detail that I put in, let's say, her arm or the background, then it all reads as just one singular sloppy kind of mess. So that's a puzzle for me to figure out in my own time, which I shall be doing this evening. I'll be back on tomorrow with some more drawing and nonsense talk. You guys all have a good night. Thank you for the conversation, Yoji. There was a mixing of black and native, or them passing themselves off as native, is why you have some in New Orleans claiming to be native, and you have the entire culture built around them being natives. Huh. Cool. Enough of the history lessons, gang. You guys have a good night. I'm feeling a little sleepy myself. Catch you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.